He who can destroy a thing has the real control of it.
Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review. I just got done seeing Dune Part 2 in IMAX. So I just got done seeing Dune Part 2 in IMAX, like I just mentioned. And, wow. A lot of the reviews, this movie's been getting tons and tons of buzz. You guys know I normally see movies on Thursday night, but with my current work schedule, I'm unable to do that, so now I have to see movies on Friday, which is fine, you know. That's technically the release date anyway. But yeah, I mean, this movie was indeed epic. It did live up to the hype. Some people are calling this like one of the best science fiction movies ever made. Some people are calling it the best science fiction movie ever made, and you know what? I'm not gonna say that, but I don't disagree with you either. Like I totally respect that. That's totally fine, you know. Of course, Denis Villeneuve directed the first film, directed Blade Runner 2049. You know, I gotta represent. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's in my top 10 movies, actually, as a matter of fact. I love it that much. You know, he directed Sicario, which is also great. Arrival, which is great. You know, I haven't seen his other movies aside from those. This guy is a master. Him and Christopher Nolan in particular, I'm thinking off the top of my head, in terms of directors working today, these guys are like top notch in terms of like scope, you know, and cinematography and special effects and action and all that stuff. This movie was incredible. If you guys recall my review for the first part, which is 3 years ago already, I can't believe it's been that long. Of course, this movie did get delayed. It was supposed to come out late last year, but it got delayed. And, you know, this was definitely better than the first movie. The first movie was definitely the setup, and this was definitely the payoff. Was I satisfied? Absolutely. I was totally satisfied, you know. Dune is a very large series from what I understand. I don't know anything about Dune aside from the first movie. You know, I never read any of the books. I never saw the David Lynch movie. I never saw any of the other versions, you know. I've only seen Dune Part 1 from 3 years ago. And I went into that totally blind, obviously. I went into this totally blind as to what happens, you know. And I was invested, you know, especially at the end. I was very invested. And you know, there could be more. There could be more stories to tell, and I hope they do it, because I'm sure this movie is going to be a smash hit. You know, the parking lot is packed here, you know. People are seeing this movie in droves, which is great. And this is a blockbuster. It's not a summer blockbuster, obviously, because it's not summer, but it is being marketed as a blockbuster, you know. But it is very artsy-fartsy, you know. It's very there's a lot of unconventional things you wouldn't do in a movie of this scale, you know, now, especially in today's movies, you know. So it's great to see a movie like this do so well, you know. I really hope it crosses $1 billion, you know, especially last year. There were so many box office bombs, it wasn't even funny. I can't even recall. Oh, well, Barbie and Oppenheimer, those made $1 billion, right? Actually, I don't think Oppenheimer crossed the $1 billion mark, but, you know, got close enough. Aside from those movies last year, I don't think any movie made $1 billion. And that's crazy because just a couple years ago, before COVID, obviously, you know, I remember in 2019, Disney in particular, they had like 10 movies that made $1 billion. Remember? It was like Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Avengers Endgame. You know, I can't think off the top of my head. What else came out that year? Captain Marvel, you know, but some people debate that, obviously. So, yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm all over the place with this review. So this movie was fantastic, like I said. The effects, the cinematography, the acting, you know. Everything that was great about the first movie is also great here, but better. So this first movie, I didn't give it 10. I think I gave it like a 9.5 or like a 9. I can't remember what my reason was, but if I had to guess, it's probably because, you know, knowing it's a part 1 and it's a lot of setup and whatnot. You know, it wasn't like a complete story, obviously. But this film right here, this I mean, it's a part 2, obviously, but it did feel like very much like its own story. Like the first one ended on a cliffhanger. This one, I'm not going to say any spoilers. This one sort of has a cliffhanger, but it's not as, it's not as like drastic as the first cliffhanger, I guess. Even though the cliffhanger of this is kind of wild, because what it could lead to. But the first movie, when it ends, it literally feels like, okay, we just stopped. You know what I mean? Whereas this, yeah, we feel like we stopped, but there was a conclusion. You know what I mean? Where the first movie didn't really have a conclusion. So yeah, that was really cool. Timothy Chalamet, however you say his name, he's great. He's honestly, he really did a great job in this movie. Like, he really did carry the movie. Zendaya was also fantastic in this. I want to say this is probably her best performance I've seen, aside from like Euphoria, where she won Emmys obviously for that. In terms of like a movie, this was definitely her best performance. Like, she was fantastic. You got Rebecca Ferguson, of course, playing Paul's mother, and she was great. And everybody was great. Listen, no complaints in the acting department. You got Christopher Walken in this one as the Emperor, Florence Pugh as his daughter. They're not in the movie a ton, but they're both very good in this. Christopher Walken obviously is, he's mostly like at least in my eyes, that's like a goofy comedic guy. You know what I mean? Aside from The Deer Hunter, if you've never seen The Deer Hunter, definitely check that out. He's great in that. I want to say he got an Oscar for that, didn't he? Yeah, so anyways, I gotta mention Austin Butler, man. This guy, Jesus Christ. From the trailers alone, like in the photos I seen of him, I'm like, man, this guy definitely transformed for this movie. And when you see his performance, yeah, this guy definitely transformed for this movie. My God. He's gonna be a huge star. I already know it. He's already a huge star, but he's gonna be a huge star in the coming years and decades and whatnot. He's gonna have an Oscar at some point. He killed it as Elvis. He killed it in this movie. This guy he transforms. Batista, of course, is in the movie, and Stellan Skarsgård is the disgusting Baron. So, and yeah, this movie. These movies are PG-13, which it's fine. They take it as far as they can. But I really wish these movies would have been rated R. Obviously, it'd be harder to sell more tickets that way, but if these were rated R, it would have been even better. Like, these movies are dark, but I really feel like that rated R, that rated R edge was kind of missing a little bit. But like I said, they really did push the limits from what I can tell. So, very good movie. Again, I'm going to give this a 10, honestly. This very much was a 10. I've only seen 2 movies this year. So, this and Madam Web. So, this is definitely, movie of the year, obviously. We'll see how else, the year plays out. Obviously, you got Ghostbusters this month, which, that for me is super, super hype. You guys know I love Ghostbusters. The big 3 this year for me are Ghostbusters, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Joker 2. There's no debate. Those are my 3, I'm definitely hyped for those. So we'll see. But, yeah, I really don't have much else to say. The action was great. I will say my one little nitpick, the grand epic battle at the end, which that's not a spoiler. You just know going into the movie, okay, and if you've seen the trailers, it's like, okay, I know there's going to be a grand epic battle at the end, and it is epic. But I feel like they don't show enough of it. So that's just a little bit of a nitpick. But don't get me wrong, it was still epic. The worms and everything was fucking amazing. So yeah, definitely see this in IMAX, by the way. If you guys watch my channel, I've been dealing with tinnitus for the last 5 months, and I just said, fuck it, I need to see this movie in IMAX, and man, I'm glad I did. I think my ears are okay, so don't worry. Yeah, this movie was fantastic in IMAX. Definitely check it out. Film for IMAX. Anytime a movie's filmed for IMAX, I really do now appreciate that, and I go out of my way to get the IMAX ticket for it. So yeah, very, very cool in IMAX. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I mean, it's a totally solid movie. Like, I don't really, some people might find it slow at parts. Like the first film was slow at parts, and you know what? This is not a conventional, like I mentioned, blockbuster. But we need movies like this. We really do, because, you know, it's marketed, it's mainstream, but the style and filmmaking in this is not a mainstream style, and I'm glad that people are getting to experience it. You know, it's sort of like a maturing of the moviegoers that normally don't see movies like this. You know what I mean? People that just, you know, no offense to anybody, but like if you just see superhero movies or just, you know, comedy, like crappy comedies or crappy dramas, whatever, you know, like turn your brain off movies, you know, if that's all you ever watch, you need stuff like this, because this is cinema, you know, like, not to sound like Martin Scorsese, but this really is cinema. So I'm glad this movie exists, and if they want to do more, I hope Denis Villeneuve and everybody involved comes back, because these are great movies. So I'm gonna give this a 10, like I mentioned. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's one of the best movies ever. I mean, on a technical level, sure, I guess you could say it's one of the best films ever made, for what they accomplished. But for me, it's not, you know, it's not like that. But it's a great movie, you know, it's excellent. So yeah, and definitely pick up one of these. I'm surprised my theater had them. These are selling on eBay for like a lot, apparently. I'm not gonna sell mine because this is amazing. I mean, this is incredible. This feels so weird, by the way. Like, why would you want to eat popcorn out of this? Like, every time you go get food, you're just doing this to yourself. Yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, Dune Part 2 right there. So, yeah, very, very cool movie. So, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, which one did you prefer? The first Dune or the second one? I'm sure most of you guys are going to say the second one. But anyways, let me know in the comments. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.